Looking for something cozy to knit on a winter day? I've got some suggestions. Grab a coffee and let's chat. Today's a rare snowy winter day in South Carolina, and it's got me in the mood to talk about some cozy things to knit for cold days and winter weather. I have 5 things to wear and 1 bonus at the end. Let's get started with number 1. First is the Belafonte Beanie. We'll work our way down from the top of the head. This is a $5 pattern available on Ravelry, and it is a basic ribbed beanie, but it has just this simple but beautiful decrease at the crown. It's available from Black Cat Knitting Company, which is a yarn shop. I don't think that's the name of the yarn shop, but it's a yarn shop in Auckland, New Zealand. And I got the pattern while I was there, and also the yarn. It calls for a DK weight yarn. This particular yarn is New Zealand brushtail possum. The brushtail possum is an invasive species in New Zealand. So they really need to decrease the population of them because it does a pretty good bit of damage to the ecosystem there and carries a bovine tuberculosis that's dangerous to the cattle in New Zealand. So they really are invasive. However, their wool, their fur, is amazing. It can't be spun up as a yarn on its own because the fibers are too short. So it's blended with other things, often with merino because that's fairly readily available there. But the possum hair shaft is hollow so that it traps air and stays warm even if it gets wet. It also makes it very, very light. It is lighter and warmer than cashmere. It has just a beautiful halo. I'm hoping you can see it kind of along here. Beautiful halo, and it blooms very nicely when it's washed and blocked. So the Belafonte Beanie in a DK weight yarn, whether it's brushtail possum or not, is a great winter knit. Let's move on to the second one, which is, I have notes. We'll put something on our shoulders. This you've probably seen because it came out a few years ago. It's the Nightshift by Andrea Mowry. This pattern is $8, available on Ravelry, and it calls for an Aran weight yarn, although this is done in Malabrigo Rios. I got some various skeins of Malabrigo Rios from a friend and decided to put them together in the Nightshift. So I think you work from this end, yeah. Starting here, and you're never working with more than 2 colors, but it gives you some varying stitch patterns that use 2 colors, and you gradually work your way through your various colors. So it's a great way to use up scraps. And I said Malabrigo Rios because a lot of people have used that, even though it's worsted, not Aran weight. But given that it is a heavier yarn in either Aran or worsted, it works up pretty quickly and it makes it very thick and cozy. Also, you're using 2 at a time, which adds a double layer. So yeah, and pretty good size too. Very cozy knit for a cold day. Next one, the pattern is no longer available on Ravelry, and I had trouble finding it, but I think I can link you to a copy of it. Somebody else found one. These are the Lamming knits by, I think it's Veronica Joby, and they're very tall. These are done in Aran weight. I did mine in a West Yorkshire Spinners yarn. But the tip folds down so that you can use your fingers, or you can fold it over This part is garter stitch, so very squishy and warm, and especially in an air and weight, works up quickly, but it'll keep your fingers toasty when you don't need to use your fingertips. So again, these are the Lamming mitts by Veronica Joby. You can kind of see both. Pulled out and rolled back. And you can roll these down as far as you need. If you want more of your hand exposed, they can be folded down all the way to your thumb. I love these. I wear these actually quite a bit for those reasons, because they're versatile and because they are cozy warm. The next thing is actually a quite a bit older pattern. This has been out at least 10 years. It is the Lawrence Pullover. It has a cowl neck, which is huge. It's done in a worsted yarn in garter stitch in the round. So when you do garter stitch in the round, you knit around, purl around, knit around, purl around. And you can see where, I think you can see it on here, where the round starts right here. But that just goes in the back. I don't recall that there was front to back shaping, but there's a really pretty lace detail that runs on the front and the back. The other thing that I had to learn, because I made this pretty early on after I started knitting, is it has welts. So what you do with welts, it's got it at the hem as well. So I'll try to maybe take a picture so you can see it a little better. But you knit a few rows of stockinette, and then you fold it back up on itself. So it's a little piece that sticks out, and it turns out to be a really nice detail. But if you didn't want to do that, you could simply do another kind of hem. This actually, I think, would work fairly well. Just straight up garter and let it roll back on itself. I think that would make a nice and easier option, but also something that would work really well with this. So it's short sleeves. You could make longer sleeves if you prefer, but it is great over a long sleeved shirt underneath, and it is super cozy. That garter stitch in the round in a worsted weight is extremely warm. So I'll fold down the neck and hold it up. So the Lawrence Pullover by, did I say Melissa Labar? The last one is something for your feet. And this one I actually haven't finished, but it is the Ferguson socks by Corinne Walcher. These are a DK weight sock. And I think I only had to cast on 40 stitches. And I haven't even worked on them very much, but they work up very quickly in DK weight. If you are not comfortable working with charts, this might be a good one to learn, because it gives both charted instructions and written instructions right next to each other, and none of the stitches are difficult. It's just rearranging knits and purl pattern. So you don't have to worry about anything particularly complicated in the stitches, and you can really focus on learning how to read the chart. It gives you instructions for, it's knit top down, so you have instructions for a heel flap and gusset. The patterning is all the way around on the leg and then continues on the top of the foot. And I think there may even be some on the heel. I haven't gotten to that yet, but I think there's some patterning on the heel as well. But these should be super cozy. And you can make the leg length to suit yourself. So if you wanted a longer or shorter leg on it, you could definitely adjust for that. but that thick DK weight is going to be really comfortable and cozy and something that should knit up very quickly. The last thing is kind of a bonus thing because it's not something you wear. It is a blanket that I worked on recently, the Zig Zag Zen Blanket. This is by Ani Juti, and it is $6 on Ravelry. No, sorry, $7 on Ravelry. And it's done kind of like a granny square that you build, not all the way around, but just on one side, not granny square, log cabin. So you start with this square right here, and then you add one on the side, and then you start working this way and then up that way and building out from there. And you could, in theory, make it as big as you want. As long as you've got needles to cover the distance, you can make it any size. I've got it as a pretty decent lap size. I think I did, I think it was 10 pattern repeats, something like that. And it got me a really nice sized lap blanket. This is done in worsted weight, again in garter stitch, so it's really squishy and warm. You could easily use scraps for this. The only thing to keep in mind is as the stripes get longer, you're going to need more and more of each color. So if you're using scraps, use your small scraps at the beginning when you only need a little bit, and larger scraps as you go, even to full skeins. I used scrap yarn plus cream in between, but you could definitely do it with all different colors, all scraps, or you could pick 2 colors and just have stripe back and forth between 2 colors. So really versatile pattern and really cozy and warm. Well, everybody, stay toasty, and I will see you soon.